Hey babe, take a deep breath with me, because this is going to be a long, honest, beautifully messy heart share. I promised you total transparency, and today I'm keeping that promise. Every thought, every fear, every tender hope caught between my ribs is coming out into the light. Before we plunge in, I want you to picture us sitting together in our favorite quiet corner of the world. Maybe that little cafe where the string lights glow warm above our heads, or the park bench where sunlight coats the leaves like liquid gold. Feel my hand wrapped around yours. Feel my pulse, steady and sure, beneath my skin. That steadiness is my love for you. It beats even when my voice trembles, even when other voices get loud and confusing. Keep feeling that pulse while I speak. You already know bits and pieces of what's been swirling around me, but I've never laid the entire mosaic at your feet. Part of me thought I was shielding you. Part of me feared that if I repeated their words, the jagged edges would cut into the soft places you've trusted me with. Yet love can't flourish in partial truths. Love needs oxygen, total, uninhibited, inconvenient honesty. So here is everything. First, my family's chorus, the one that rattles inside my head during every Sunday dinner and every birthday call. They see our differences, our backgrounds that don't line up neatly on a chart, our contrasting temperaments, our dreams that stretch in directions they can't map. They worry that I bend too much, that compromise will dilute who I am. They ask, why would you change your habits, your city, your schedule for someone whose world looks so different? They say it while passing the salt shaker as casually as if they're discussing weather, but each comment carries the weight of generations. Unspoken rules about what love should look like, who is acceptable, how hard work in a relationship is allowed to be before sensible people walk away. Then there are my friends, the rowdy, protective, ride or die crew that has watched me stumble through past heartbreaks. They remember the hollowed out version of me after my last breakup, and they've sworn never to watch me shatter like that again. When I gush about us, they tilt their heads and hunt for warning signs. Should it really be this intense? They ask. If it's meant to be, shouldn't it feel easy most days? Shouldn't trust come naturally instead of needing to be built plank by plank? Their love for me is fierce, but sometimes that fierceness morphs into suspicion. Suspicion of anything they can't control, anyone they can't decipher, any future they can't guarantee. In quiet corners of crowded bars, they've pressed me. If your mom is worried and your cousins are whispering and your mentor raises an eyebrow, are you sure this relationship is the safest place for your heart? Hearing all that from people who've known me since scraped knees and science fair disasters is disorienting. Their questions echo at 3 a.m. when I'm staring at the ceiling, tracing patterns in the dark. And yet, in the hush beneath their concerns, my own truth pulses louder. I love you. Not the fairy tale, Instagram filtered version of you. No, I love the real, unedited soul you are when the world isn't looking. I love the way you greet stray animals as if they were old friends. I love how your laughter breaks open a room, how your tears are unashamed, how your mind catches fire when you talk about dreams bigger than both of us combined. They do not see those moments. They see snapshots. I see the film in motion. Still, their doubts force me into deep reflection. Were they right? Should love be softer around the edges? Should friction this early be a neon sign saying danger, exit here? I sat with those questions until the silence grew honest enough to answer. Here is what I heard. Love isn't the absence of tension. It's the presence of commitment. When steel is forged, flames lick at it, hammers strike, sparks fly. The result is a blade capable of cutting through doubt and fear. Our relationship has felt fiery at times, but fire doesn't always signal destruction. Sometimes it signals refinement. Love isn't proof against vulnerability. It's an invitation to it. Every time I admit a fear to you, my fear of failing, my fear of losing myself, my fear of repeating family patterns, you listen without flinching. That act of witnessing is a rare kind of magic. My people outside our bubble want assurance that I'll never ache. You know that aching is inevitable, and that holding each other through it is where intimacy germinates. Love isn't a math equation where variables must cancel perfectly. It's wild art. Two hues swirling on a canvas might look chaotic to an observer, but step back and you see layers of depth no single color could achieve alone. We are that living canvas. So, babe, I don't agree with the verdict rendered by my personal tribunal. I respect their concern. How could I not? They've knit themselves into my story since day one. But respect does not equal surrender. Their vision is limited by the small window they peek through, and our relationship is a vast landscape with mountains and valleys they've never trekked. Only we know the terrain intimately, where the hidden waterfalls roar, where the ridges cut perilous, where dawn spills over peaks in golden reassurance. I also want to acknowledge the cost of keeping their opinions to myself. Secrecy, even in the name of protecting you, builds tiny walls. Each wall steals a fragment of closeness until suddenly two people who adore one another feel a subtle, chilly draft. I never want that frost between us. From this moment forward, I vow openness. If my aunt tosses a casual, "Are you sure about them?" across the dinner table, you'll know before dessert. If my college buddy drops a sarcastic comment about compromise, we'll talk that night. No more shielding out of misplaced noblesse. You deserve the raw manuscript, not the redacted version. Now, let me tell you what I've told them, because you should hear your defense straight from my lips. I've said, they challenge me to grow, but never demand I become someone I'm not. They hold up mirrors I've avoided, but they do it with gentleness, not shame. They memorize my coffee order and the way my left eyebrow arches when I'm skeptical. They celebrate my wins louder than I do and cradle my disappointments when I stumble. I've said, I choose them daily. And choosing them doesn't erase me, it amplifies me. Sometimes those words land. Sometimes they ricochet off fear. Either way, I'll keep saying them. Because love, true love, deserves advocacy. And what of our differences? Yes, they're real. We vote differently sometimes. The music that makes you dance makes me raise an eyebrow. My family's holiday traditions are an orchestral riot of casseroles and vintage carols, while yours light candles in reverent silence. Yet have you noticed how our contrasts make room for curiosity? You teach me rhythms my body never learned. I introduce you to recipes scribbled in my grandmother's elegant, fading cursive. We trade pieces of ourselves like rare postcards, enriching the map of who we are becoming. Regarding sacrifice, I've realized a paradox. Real love asks both partners to bend, never to break. Bending isn't loss, it's flexibility. Like branches in a storm, we sway, we don't snap. So when my friends worry that I'm giving up too much, I ask them to imagine a tree that refused to bend in wind. It would uproot. Adaptation is survival, and in relationships, adaptation is also artistry. You bend for me, too. I've seen you rearrange schedules, rewrite assumptions, wrestle your own fears to offer me room to breathe. We are symmetrical in our devotion. Let's talk practically, because love isn't only poetic, it's logistical. Conflict resolution, we're learning to dance, pausing to breathe before retorting, choosing, I feel over you always. Financial decisions, we lay spreadsheets side by side and thumb through bank statements by candlelight, laughter diffusing tension when formulas blur. Future plans, we sketch timelines in pencil, understanding that life can spill water across the page and we'll redraw as needed. These are not signs of dysfunction. They are signs of conscious partnership. I won't pretend we're perfect. There are nights exhaustion hollows us out and words come out sharp. There are mornings when we misinterpret silence as disapproval. But perfection is a sterile room. Nothing vibrant grows there. We are vibrant. We are alive. We apologize quickly. We forgive thoroughly. We make amends tangible. A handwritten note slipped under a pillow. A playlist labeled, "I was wrong and I love you." A gentle hand to the back, while dishes clatter in soapy water. Those small reconciliations rebuild trust brick by brick. And about ease? Yes, some relationships look effortless from the outside, but ease can be deceptive. Sometimes effortless means superficial, avoiding depth because depth risks discomfort. We have chosen depth. Depth requires effort. I would rather expend energy excavating hidden caverns of understanding with you than skate forever on thin ice with someone else. So, where do we go from here? First, I want us to craft a united front rooted in compassion rather than defiance. When my mom voices her fear, let's listen respectfully, thank her for caring, and calmly share our joint vision. When my friends raise worst case scenarios, let's invite them to witness us in ordinary daylight. Let them see me making you tea when your throat aches. Let them see you cheering my smallest accomplishment. Exposure dismantles caricature. Second, let's strengthen our private sanctuary. Weekly check-ins. How are you feeling? What worries whisper in your ear? What victories sparkle? Rituals that anchor us. Sunday morning walks. Journaling side by side. Silent hugs that last until tension melts. Boundaries that guard our peace. Phones off during dinner. No rehashing arguments past midnight when brains spin irrational. Within these boundaries, love grows lush. Third, let's chase dreams shoulder to shoulder. Your vision of starting that community art studio? I'm ready to help draft the business plan. My dream of finishing a novel? Hold me accountable to my writing hours. Mutual investment defies critics because success becomes the loudest rebuttal. Finally, faith. Whether you name it universe, spirit, God, or simply a stubborn optimism, let's weave faith through our days. Light candles for intentions. Speak affirmations over each other's insecurities. Remember that narratives bigger than us are at play, guiding, refining, interlacing destinies. I want you to realize something crucial. You are not an outsider invading my established life. You are an essential branch grafted into my life tree, drawing sap, offering blossoms.